Is it? Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. I'd like to have roll call, please, Carolyn.
Welch.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Stan Anderson.
Here.
Houston.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Mike Anderson. We do have a quorum.
Okay, we'll stand and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so to accommodate our firefighter, I'm going to use this order of business for emergency, and would you like to address us very quickly?
Yes, real quick, first thing I want to address is Hillcrest. We had talked, and I know Garrett's not here, he's probably going to fire himself, but we had talked about the city bringing the sewer across to those lots. I'm gonna have two lots that are gonna be 60 by 150, and then another one that will be 120 by 150. That lot will be where the existing office is, and we'll sell that as a house, and then two additional city lots to be built on to begin with. And with that, I'm wondering when the sewer is brought across, I know Garrett went and looked at it with Todd, and Todd was thinking that the best thing to do would be put a manhole in the right of way and then bring the sewer into that manhole. Would we be able to bring the sewer out of the office, the old Hillcrest office, into that manhole as well? Because that sewer line right now goes straight north into the property, the rest of the property, and that sewer system is shot. So, and we wouldn't want the sewer coming off of that property into property that they didn't, whoever buys it doesn't know.
It seems like something we should do, but we defer to Garrett.
Yep, and I know, I'm bringing it up so that it's part of the conversation. The other thing is I can't list any properties until we have the plat done, because there has to be a legal description of the properties, and I'm supposed to have the plat tomorrow on those properties, and I'm wondering, where do I go from here to get that plat approved from the city, and how can I do that as quick as I can with interest rates continuing to rise? The housing market is gonna go to pot.
So the plat does need to be approved by the council.
So it would have to, we would have to wait for another city council meeting to have that approved.
Can he take it to planning and zoning on the 28th?
Well, that's not full council. That's up to you guys. I mean, we typically have it approved by the full council, but if you're comfortable having planning and zoning looking at it, then bring in the recommendation, but still, they have to bring the recommendation to the council.
But then doesn't it have to go back to planning and zoning?
No.
Oh, okay,
Because
okay, sorry.
at the time of him bringing the plat, I would assume he's going to, it's gonna be a plat for residential, so.
Okay,
I mean, because it's nothing right now. I mean, it's commercial, but not as plat in the big scheme of it. So when he
Okay.
brings the plat, it's gonna be a plat for residential.
You could pre-authorize the recommendation of the planning and zoning with regard to the plating. It would be without you guys being trusting their recommendation.
No, if they see something that wasn't gonna work, then.
Yep.
They just wouldn't do it.
The north side of those lot lines will be consistent with the rest of the lot lines on Fourth Avenue. That will be the boundary on the north side. And that is, we basically came from the lot line on where Bessinger's line up with us and went 60 feet to the remainder of it is the office, which is roughly 120 feet.
Okay, so can I have a motion for pre-authorization then?
That's a move.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
all right, all
Aye.
right.
Opposed. And then the question about the manhole and that,
Yeah, I realize that's a Garrett question.
yes. And you could also work with our essential services, which is Rick and Stan as a
Okay.
committee and get that figured out. Would that work?
Okay, that'll work.
All right.
And then the second thing I want to bring up here is one of the businesses I own is looking at. We're going to be building a machining / manufacturing facility someplace. And does Hillcrest, the rest of it that is still zoned commercial, would I be able to do that in that facility, in those grounds? It's zoned commercial. And initially, we would be looking at a 10,000 square foot facility, but we'd have to have enough ground associated with that business to be able to expand to a 20 or 25,000 square foot facility.
Is this a planning and zoning question?
Would it fit in our industrial park?
Well, why would I put it in the industrial park? when I
When
already
it
own
owns the
ground?
land?
I mean, it sounds so big. Do you have enough land for it?
Oh,
I've got almost 7 acres.
Oh,
over there,
okay, sorry.
So. But
Well,
I'm
that's,
just,
and that's zone commercial now, right?
correct.
Correct.
But I'm just wondering if there's, and we're in the preliminary phases of bringing this project together, but. You know, we're looking at employing up to 20 people
Oh, wow.
and. So, but, and I'm not saying Wall is where it's going to be, but we're going through the preliminary cost assessments and employee assessments, can we man the facility here?
well, what that would take, it sounds to me, is like a permit, filling out a permit or discussion with planning and zoning. If the land's commercial,
It shouldn't be an issue. Okay.
And you
How
would
could
do
it be?
with the remainder of the land?
No, I don't, I would only sell that business what we need.
So you'd have to bring another plat.
I would have to bring another flat on the ground for that,
Oh, wow.
so. I think that's my call.
So
Yeah.
we just wanna make sure, we just wanna make sure that Hillcrest we're comfortable with doing that on the Hillcrest property if the area sustains the building. That, we don't have any issues with that, is that right?
Well, I wanna make sure, well, I guess the long and short is I wanna make sure the city council isn't gonna fight me on bringing the business to town. That I'm not going to have issues with building the building and actually building the business there, because if I'm gonna do the preemptive work and bring it into town, I wanna make sure that the city council is gonna approve it before we work here, or I'll just do the work elsewhere.
Well, you have commercial, a lot of commercial land. And I don't see how there would be any problem.
Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to hear.
I agree, it's his land, it's commercial,
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
okay,
All right, thank you.
Can I say something?
okay.
Yes,
I'm not against it at all, but the lots to the north of there. We had to make that residential just to make a neighbor happy there. So the front half, which I've seen bloody murder, it's a big hole in the ground that's full of car body cement. We made that residential and commercial in the back. So, I mean, I'm a little concerned about the other neighbors up there. And that's the only reason that.
I guess where I'm at on it is my ground's already zoned commercial, and if the city were to say they're going to rezone my ground residential, I mean, I'm not to be that guy, but we'll see in court.
I'm just worried about
So-
the neighbors up there that you already.
Because when I bought it, I bought commercial ground. I didn't buy ground that was zoned residential. Taking it out of commercial and zoning it residential is my choice as a business owner.
But I'm just saying.
Part of that,
he
on that
didn't-
deal up there was their discrepancy. The city had it zoned one way and it was platted another way or something, wasn't it?
Right.
That the problem with that up there.
So there was a
It was
discrepancy.
it was zoned two different ways in two different places, wasn't it? One, we had it commercial and
In the state of county.
the city had it, I don't remember what his description. Tim's was commercial and ours was residential, or I don't remember.
Well, and it was
Yeah.
residential, but he had all that equipment and stuff on there. And so it was agreed that he pushed it back away from the road. Then that could stay and he could then zone that back half commercial to keep his stuff.
So it got to be a controversy because there was a conflict of information, right? But in this case, he's commercial. It's his land.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We just
Okay.
wondering what the other people was gonna see.
Okay,
Okay, you're good to go.
thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for fighting fire.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so back to our agenda then, the attendance on, no attendance on Zoom. And I would ask for, motion to approve the agenda.
Hello.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Agenda approved, okay, looking at the consent agenda then. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the claims, the budget report? Any questions on water usage? Or cash and money market balances or permits?
Move to approve that agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, one thing in that, Rick, did you share with us your thoughts on the sales tax report compared to other years that you shared with us earlier? Because our sales in this last month showed that it was up.
Mary, did you get the percentage side? On
It
what
was-
it's up?
16%, it seemed like, but let me look, sure. Because I thought your comments on that compared to the pre-COVID was so interesting.
Well,
16, it's up 16%.
Right,
and our sales, and do we always compare it to the year before?
right.
Our sales are down 14% from last year, but last year was the best year in the history of the store, and I don't think we'll ever match it. I mean, I'd love to, but, and then, you know, with going back, we can't compare it to 2020 because we're closed for 70 days, except our pharmacy was open all 10 weeks. I just want to mention that. But we go back to 19 and we're 33% ahead of 19. You know, rough math, you divide that by 3, 11% a year. I think we're having a really good year anyway.
Okay. And so Jerry, thinking about sales tax, but tell us about a grain report. How's the grain running at the elevator?
Well, way better than it was last year, way better. There's a lot of damage out north, a lot of people that is completely zeroed out, but I will say quality wise, everything is very good, not very good, but I mean, it's not something that's gonna be rejectable, really, something that everybody's gonna be able to work with. I've only heard a little, 1 or 2 reports, but some of it was 60 some bushel per acre, and some of the people's that was planted at different times is a little shriveled, didn't get the rain in time, but overall, it's way better than last year. I hate to say that because so many people got held out.
That's kind of surprising.
Oh, that's good news.
Because that was the case of some of our rural neighbors where they got pounded into the ground. And that was due to hail, wind,
Hail and wind, 2 nights or pretty much.
2 nights in a row.
One of our customers lost the roof on his house, got all the neighbors together and got it pretty well patched up, and then on Sunday night it took it all and ruined the interior of his house. Demolished bins. We, out in that area was probably just as bad as Philip, lost all the green bins. But the people that have wheat is doing fairly well.
And that wind damage ran from about Creighton all the way to Phillip, right? Across Grindstone.
Actually,
and
even New Underwood, all the way across.
So, okay, well, we had some conversation about damages like that, so I just wanted to get a upfront report on that. Okay, so we have a visitor tonight, Dustin. Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
That's okay.
I just had a quick comment on the sales tax revenue. I don't know if you know the old campground. But we've been purchasing a lot of fiber and things like that. So it's not just the sales of everything that goes on at like Walter and the other places. It's us buying equipment and getting ready to put it in the ground that has some impact on that. And we've bought quite a bit in this first half of the year. So that could be part of the reason why there's some increase in sales tax revenue.
Would,
We pay the tax on when we buy the fiber.
Gordy, if you could say what kind of number, I mean, rough.
I think we. Probably $10 to $15 million worth.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, and that would be in there.
yes,
Oh,
Interesting.
because that kind of explains, because usually the drugstore kind of parallels. But
you know,
that would be
we
a
were
change.
accumulating a lot of fiber. Last year we were buying it in the different areas. We've had to accumulate it because we have some obligations to put fiber in the ground. And like anything else, we have supply chain issues. And we're just trying to buy whatever we can. So a lot of that's been really here in the wall. So we have to pay state and city tax on that as well.
Well, good news, you keep that up, okay? Good go for that. Okay, so Dustin, please, and tell us who you're from and what you're about here today.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, staff. My name is Dustin Bullitt. I'm the Pennington County Emergency Manager. Thank you for accommodating me on your agenda tonight. We did have a good conversation earlier about some of this. So before you tonight is a memorandum of agreement between the city of Wall, the other municipalities in Pennington County and Pennington County itself in regards to the community of Wall, the city of Wall participating, and I know this is a mouthful, but it's our pre-disaster mitigation plan. And actually it's a multi-jurisdictional, multi-hazard pre-disaster mitigation plan. I know it's horrible, but it's FEMA ease, so forgive me. The plan at its heart is how do communities, we know weather events are going to continue to happen. We know disasters probabilistically are going to continue to impact communities. The pre-disaster mitigation plan is what steps can the community take to improve its posture to minimize the consequence when those events happen. How can we lessen the impact to our built environment, loss of life, injuries, et cetera. And so this plan is a FEMA approved plan. It happens every 5 years. The current plan was approved in late 18, early 19, it expires in 24. And so now is the start of the next iteration. So I'm making the rounds with all of our municipal partners in Pennington County, trying to engender support for, yet again, everybody coming together and participating in this multi-jurisdictional plan. This year we are going to, the plan is to engage with Black Hills Council of Local Governments to help facilitate the planning process. With that, again, I know you have a full agenda. I don't want to take any more of your time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
So this would be like for tornadoes and.
Yeah, the nexus of this plan is primarily natural hazards. We can get into some technological disasters like hazmat releases, dam breaks, not that there's any significant threat to the community wall from catastrophic dam failure. But it specifically does not cover what we call human or adversarial or man-caused disaster. So it's not going to cover domestic terrorism, active threat act, or that type of thing. It's specifically aimed at natural hazard and then some measure of technological.
And Wall's been a part of this before.
Historically, Wall has always been a partner in this plan, yes. Just a side note on that, we have not had Quinn and Wasta participating, and this year they both agreed to be part of that process. So this will be the first year in my recollection and my awareness that we will have, depending on the outcome of your decision tonight, this will be the first time we've had every municipality in Pennington County at the planning table.
Any other questions, thoughts?
I move that we approve the agreement with Pennington County mitigation and agree with the MOA plan.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thanks so much for your time tonight. I look
Thanks,
forward to
Dustin.
working.
All right. Okay, that brings us to Kelsey, Chamber Director report.
evening, everyone. So. I have a packet for each of you. And then, I wanted to write a thank you note to DAR and the Building Center for their, quick work that they did for us. So if you don't mind passing that around. To have each of you sign that, please.
Or are you talking about the fence?
Yes. So yes, I just think we should thank him for his good work, with everything that he had going on, and the hail and Philip, I know he had quite the list, he made time for that for us. It's interesting you guys were talking about sales tax, because in the packet I gave you, I included sales tax revenue in the dashboard that I put together. I know the sales tax numbers that I put in this are a little different. That's than what you guys are actually receiving. That's because this is before admin fees and any adjustments that are made. But these are the numbers that are made available to the public on the Department of Revenue. And so that's why I stick with these numbers. So that if the community members are looking at the numbers, they're the same. But I included a 5-year sales tax revenue history. So even though those numbers are a little different, you can still see, you know, June this year is higher than any June back through 2017. And according to these numbers, city sales tax revenue is up 13.3% for the month. Still down just a little bit year to date though. Visitor spending doing pretty well. Again, I included the historic numbers back to 2019. Nothing too abnormal there. And then the BBB taxable sales performing pretty well. May was a good month compared to last year. When you compare these months numbers to 2019, everything is still performing really well. 2019 was a really good year, as Rick was saying, and 2022 is still performing better than 2019 as our last normal year, if you will. So I think that's just important to note. On the back of that dashboard that I gave you, and this isn't the full dashboard for June, just because not all the numbers for the state are released yet. But I did include our website sessions. Our website is performing very well. We are up 64% for the month of June and 54% this year to date. I was at a regional meeting yesterday, and the state's website is down, the regional website is down, most DMO websites are down. Ours is up 50%. So that's really awesome. People are still interested in coming to Wall. Visitor information requests, pretty close to last year. June was up 117%. So just note those numbers, really great. Had a lot going on. And then I included our chamber membership. These are numbers I shared at our annual meeting. But anyway, this year our membership is 130 members. The beginning of May, I went to a Midwest state conference, and there were communities of 4,000 people that had 180 chamber members. So I think our community of 700 having 130 members is pretty remarkable. So that's just the number I like to share, and even we've gone up the last 5 years.
What was the front end of that when you went to the meeting compared to what was?
There were communities of 4,000, a population of 4,000, and they had 180 members.
180, and we have 130.
Yeah, and our community of 700. Wow. So I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to be able to give you guys these numbers to look back historically compared to a normal year, and then a couple of years even prior to that.
Kelsey, a visitor information request, what does that consist of?
It is hard physical brochures that I send out to people. So it includes our local brochures from the chamber, national park, various businesses, rodeo has one, and then any other special information that they may request. If they want information about 4th of July or celebration, a map, all that is included in those packets.
So it is a mailer, and they do specifically contact you for that
Yep,
information,
these are
right?
people reaching out specifically asking for this
Mail packet, yes.
Thank you.
Last year, you may have heard me talk, we did a large photo and video project, in the community. It was about a $20,000 project that the chamber covered entirely through our general budget, which we get money from our chamber dues to cover. I'm very excited because now I get to see these images in our ads, digital ads and hard copies. So this one is a panel for the Badlands that is now located in the Black Hills and Badlands Visitor Information Center. Or it will be, I don't think it's been put up yet, but that's a tall 6-foot panel that will now be in the Visitor Information Center. And those are all pictures from our project that we did. We also they have TVs throughout the Black Hills Visitor Information Center, and we have 30-second commercials on those TVs from this project that we did. And then that commercial is also in the state visitor information centers, as well as social media and Google, all the electronic formats. I gave you this one. This is another printout from a project that Black Hills Badlands is doing. I just wanted to note on this one that Wheeling to Wall was highlighted in this. This is not our image though. It does cover the Badlands, but not an image we took, but Wheeling to Wall is covered in this. And this is a project that Black Hills Badlands started that will be in the Twins. I can't think of what it's called. Kind of like their program where it's got all of their player information, but it's sent out to all their season ticket holders and then given out at the game. And then there's also one, this will also be included for the Vikings, and they'll do the same thing. So that's a new project Black Hills Badlands is doing, and I thought it was really cool that they included Wheeling to Wall on that. Our billboard blew down south of town in April. We finally have that buttoned up, completed, everything straight and put back up. We had to do a little bit of a paint job on it. So $26,000 later and it's fixed. It's not an easy project, but again, wanted to thank Barry Knudsen, the drugstore, and then Cornerstone Industries for helping with that project. There's a lot more that goes into building or to billboards than you might anticipate.
Kelsey, what was the time frame on that from the time it was damaged to the time it was done?
I don't even remember. I mean, by the time we got the clear coat done, Barry finished that 2 weeks ago, but, cause we did both sides. But,
Not counting that.
but not counting that, I bet it was 2 weeks or less.
Yeah,
Barry really got it done quickly for us too.
in the sign industry, repairing a sign in that kind of time, that's miraculous.
Yeah,
Yeah, Barry pulled out.
you might
the stops.
notice there's still some down along Interstate.
Oh, yeah.
As I noted, our website is doing really good. We have done some new digital advertising this year. That includes radio. We get really good remarks even from our campaign managers that, wow, these digital ads are performing very well. We've never seen numbers like this. So I think that's really cool. Our account manager said that, we're driving a lot of qualified traffic to our website, and commented that he doesn't see click-through rates this high, which means we're reaching the right type of people. In hopes that they are interested in our area and hopefully planning a trip to our area sooner rather than later. Been making a lot of updates to our website. We now have our video on our website. I've created and implemented a new community calendar. I soft launched that at the beginning of the summer, and now it's up and going, and I think it's performing really well. It looks really good. It's a lot easier to read. And also new to our website this year is we introduced blogs, monthly blogs. So in July, just yesterday, we posted one about stargazing in the Black Hill or in the Badlands area. And then we also note our members throughout these blogs. So that blog included the Badlands Observatory and what they offer. Coming up next, something that I've been working on is our 2023 budget. At my meeting yesterday, I just thought it was something I learned that I thought important to note. Some of our biggest print ads will be going up 30% just to produce. So as the council, business owners, please note that in your budgeting process for next year, print costs are going up a lot. So that's making budgeting fun. I included in your packet, upcoming events through the end of the year. We have Wall Crawl, August 5th through the 7th, and then the appreciation supper and our Christmas events that rough dates out for that already. And the final part of my report that I'll just note, on Friday, July 29th, KOTA 6 on the road will be in Wall. They're going to do a live broadcast for their 6 o'clock news in the backyard of the drugstore. And our chamber president and someone from the drugstore is gonna be doing an interview with them that day,
What day is that?
Friday, the 29th of July. So they'll be
6 P.M.
live from 6 to 6:30. And they'll do their whole, everything that the news anchors typically do during that, forecast will be done in Wall in the back.
And that's KOTA.
KOTA. Okay, so that's all I have for my report. Any questions on that? Okay, I will move on to podiums for the community center. Our podiums are in fairly rough shape. So I met with Kelly and Mary and did a little research. And we have 2 podiums we'd like to recommend purchasing. The less expensive one for this room, and then the more expensive one for the grand hall. And that's the things I gave you. And got the cost on there.
Do we get a part of it if it has Holiday Inn on it?
You get to pick what we want it to say.
Oh, good.
So you can pick whatever hotel you might want.
Welch's, right?
Thank you, Dan.
Great answer.
So I guess if you guys are in agreement, that our podiums are looking a little tough, maybe we could, the only thing that's not included in here that, is for the one for the grand hall is a microphone holder, and I found those anywhere from $25 to $100, so if you include about $100 maybe additionally for a microphone holder.
And what dollars will you use to cover this? What
From
budget?
the community center fund. I don't remember which line items, we'd have to pull from a couple different line items.
But you and Carolyn have worked that out, right?
Yeah,
Equipment and, other expense.
So, do we need to? Oh, excuse
That should be nice. Nice improvement there. Ours are very old and dated.
me. There's a lot of story
there's a
behind
lot
that.
more than that.
Okay.
They're
So-
pretty tough,
Carolyn, do
and
we need-
these have wheels, so they would move very easily.
Ours don't have wheels.
No.
No,
That's-
yeah, look at,
We got
Like-
coasters.
Approve that request.
okay, Dan has moved. Is there a second? Second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then, I think the last thing is, I had 2 banner permits that were included in the packet Carolyn emailed to you.
Yes,
And so just request to approve those and waive the fee for them.
I so move.
any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Unless you guys have any questions, that was the second one on
Is there?
It is.
She,
there. And then,
she handed that out.
that's the last.
It is there.
It is there. Yep. Okay, well, thank you, Kelsey.
Okay.
Covered a lot in a little while. Thank you
I
very
tried to
much.
keep it short.
Thank you. So that brings us to the Wall School District Superintendent Report. Welcome, Candy.
Yeah, good evening. Good to see you all again. We're getting ready for August to take off on us, and then the next thing you know, we'll be in school, but, the last board meeting, we got all our handbooks approved, so we're ready to start the process of being prepared for enrollment and so forth. On August 2nd at 7 o'clock will be the fall sports meeting for parents and athletes. That'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening in the gym. The 4th of August, football starts. And the 11th of August, volleyball and cross country will start. We will this year have an open house, K through 12. And that will be August 31st, 5:30 to 7. And feel free to stop in and take a look at the school. You don't have to be a parent. You can come in, we're just having an open house to show off everything we got in the building, so. And the cleaning process has been going well. They've been cleaning and fixing and mowing and we hope that we plan to have the storage containers painted before the first football game. It'll be just a plain beige, no signs on it or anything on any of them. So we are looking forward to seeing the kids again. Pretty exciting. I just got back from the superintendent's conference in Chamberlain and some of the highlights there that we're getting started to deal with legislation and get ready for the legislative session that is coming up starting in January. A couple of the things that were discussed, first of all, was the talent search for teachers, where we have record-setting numbers of teaching positions open throughout the state. And finding the educators that we need is becoming a bigger and bigger struggle. However, there is concern after looking at what some of the other states are doing, just some of the leniency that's going on within states about teacher certification. There's some states that are even looking at allowing college students that are working on their education degrees start teaching. So, between the credits you can pick up in dual credit and the start college in your sophomore year and being able to teach your junior year with 20-year-old teachers. So we really, we want to hope that the state doesn't go that direction in allowing what some other states have done. Also, there's going to be, we know there's going to be bills coming up with education dollars following students regardless if they go to public or a private entity. The thing that is important to note that a private school can select what students they take, and they don't have to go through the certification processes that public schools do with the state laws and so forth. So students that have learning disabilities or students that struggle may not make the enrollment in a private school, and however, that burden is still the same on the taxpayer. So those are just things to keep in mind. Some of the things we had discussion about superintendents was just that outlook, the public media and so forth on public education. We are working hard and we're doing what best we can to take care of our students in the circumstances that we have and hiring the best talent we can find and bringing in the best interventions regardless of the student. So we hope that we can put some positive out there in the media as well. So any questions?
Yeah, you have all your teachers.
We have not filled the big white position. And we have a para position open. And then we have a few coaching positions open. Okay. We are in good shape compared to a lot of schools.
I have a question for you. Do you have this, do you have a welding class?
Yes.
I've got a project for the city and I'm wondering if would a student be, I want to build a Christmas tree.
Oh, okay.
And
I'll tell you what, our new ag teacher will be moving here middle of August, so we can see what we can do. So,
it's pretty basic.
otherwise, I know the mayor's grandson's pretty good.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What happens if you don't have a big one? What happens?
We also have, that storm went through and hit Big Lake too, so we haven't heard, haven't got an insurance quote on that building either, so. We don't know.
It would just not right.
That's the best we can, best we can deal with. The roof was heavily damaged with the hail, windows broke out, carpet needs replaced, and the insurance adjuster was out, but we don't have a quote yet, and, so we'll see what happens there.
You're running out of time.
Yeah,
That's the other issue, to get it, if it was that badly damaged, you get it repaired in time to start school.
so yeah, we
Yeah,
are,
that's an issue. I see what you're saying.
so,
Okay.
there's two issues there, so we're working on,
That's
How many students you got out there now?
I believe Mr. Sikora said 5.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pittman. Dr. Pittman, get that right, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have anyone here that would like to give some public comments tonight? Okay, if not, we have a building permit for a 6-foot fence.
Did Garrett look that over? And it meets everything. Do we need a motion? I'd make that motion. We approve that.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so that brings us to the second cutting on the industrial park hay ground. When we issued the contract the first time or issued the bids, we were very concerned about the moisture this year. And so we just allowed one cutting. But now with the showers that we've had come through, there is it appears like there is a second cutting. It looks great along the road. It's not so great after you get out in there.
Yeah, I know.
You drove out there in the alfalfa? You did, okay.
I didn't make very good tracks.
Okay,
But it
good job.
isn't as good.
It doesn't, it looks great along the road, yes, but it's not very good out there. At the same time, we might be better off to just go ahead and allow the people that bid on it previously to provide us with a second bid or another bid. Am I saying this right, Carolyn? If they would, the people that bid the first time would have the opportunity to bid now, if they so choose. And it would be a sealed bid. And Carolyn, what date did you think that you might want those back?
Well, if I was to contact everybody tomorrow with that option to let them know, I would hope to get them back by the 27th, which I believe would be next Wednesday, like at 2 o'clock. Or I mean, I'm sorry, 10 o'clock, and then hoping that a committee could be formed to approve those bids so that they could get started on the cutting.
And I'm sure they'll check it out. They don't.
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
Worth it.
Absolutely. When she calls and offers them that opportunity, they'll be out there looking at it. So, and if they think it's worth it, they'll put a bid in. If not, they'll move on. But, okay, so I was actually gonna ask Jerry and Mike, because they're actually on the Economic Development Committee, if they would be willing to open those bids at 11 o'clock that day and see who offers us the highest bid, and then we could contact them, and those people could be, if it doesn't rain, cutting by the next day.
11 o'clock on the 7th,
Correct.
you'll be there.
You can, okay, and I'll reach out to Mike and check on that, so. Okay, so do I need a motion to proceed with this, Carolyn, or is this a consensus?
No, go ahead and make a motion to
I'm
proceed.
so moved that we proceed with the second vote.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept bids for a second cutting on the industrial park. Given the fact that some of it has got big dirt piles on it, we'll need to work around that, but. Okay, so any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, animal ordinance. This was included in our packet again, and Stephanie, would you like to speak to this at all, or?
The only thing I'd say is, I don't have any objections to the additional, revisions that have been made to it. They're a matter of discretion. So, I reviewed them. I don't have any problem with them as long as that reflects what the city wants their ordinance to look like. So, and I believe everything that was, added to the one that I sent everyone is in blue, is that correct?
Yeah, the changes that.
Yep. So I don't have any, I don't have any revision to that as long as that, reflects the city's wishes.
Okay, the one question, as I read through this, okay, in the chapter 6, where it says animals running at large, it's not designated whether it's a license or unlicensed, but yet in the next chapter down, it specifically talks to an unlicensed. Is that an oversight on our part, or it just doesn't matter? I just,
Well, the unlicensed, Carol and I spent a lot of time, appropriate amount of time going through this, because we've had so many dog issues. And I had the same question, and the unlicensed animal running at large, he needs to get a license, or she. They need to license that animal. That's kind of the difference.
If you think it would make better clarification and just the animal running at large, we could put, say, licensed animal running at large, if that would make it more clear, do you feel? Or-
I did, I couldn't understand why it was specifically unlicensed and the next one and licensed are nothing there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that was the only thing that and just as kind of a review or to bring to point, the first offense is, they receive a letter, the second one is $100 fine, the third is a $250 fine, and the fourth offense would be to be impounded at the Humane Society. And does anyone recall what it costs to go to the Humane Society with the dog a day?
$85 a night.
$85 a night.
I know that from personal.
Yeah.
Sandy's dog has a
Good knowledge
record.
to know.
That's all right. I just had a question, a couple questions. One is, in the part where it says animals running at large, it says their property. My only thought on that is, can a renter try to get around that? If they're renting a house and saying, well, that's not my property, and they can try to get around the ordinance? And then the other question had to do with the end of that paragraph. And also it's in, .065.070, where, it says upon receiving a second complaint, the fines, and third offense, the fines. Who notifies the animal owner about those fines, or is that law enforcement delivers a notice that says you have now been fined?
That's why we were gonna put the resolution together, so that that would be a supporting document on how that notification happens.
Should that be in here though too?
No, because then we can't change it in the order. I mean, we have to change it by 2 readings. That's why I had recommended earlier with the resolution that it gives the guideline, and if we need to change those things, then we can easily do that with the one reading.
Good point.
And Linda, on the property thing, if they're renting a house or they have a mobile home court or a mobile home in the mobile home court, their yard is considered their property. I mean, that's how we feel. And that's how they feel too.
Yep, and if we wanted to take it for over their property, they can do that, but that's not something that we want to pay the judge. If they're renting the property, they're not gonna mind. But that's your second question. Does that answer that? Yeah, but I just think the ordinance would be stronger if it said, because it says law enforcement will deliver the first letter. So shouldn't law enforcement also deliver the notices that they've been fined? And the impoundment, the way I understand it, is the law enforcement officer can just go in and take it. That there's no notice required. By what this is. If it gets to that point, yeah. Yeah. Yep. But my question again is, the fines, who notifies the owner that there's a fine? In both instances,
They will get a letter.
and delivered by law enforcement? Because we talked about this letter before, and that's why law enforcement delivers that first warning letter, is because people can say, well, I didn't get it. And, you know, they can claim 2 weeks later, they still didn't get it.
So you're wanting for each offense that the language delivered by law enforcement be added for each offense? It's up to you guys. The first line says delivered by law enforcement. She's just suggesting that for each offense, we add the language delivered by law enforcement instead of it being implied in the ordinance that is delivered by law enforcement.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, you know, because once we get the ball rolling, then those times, we're not gonna be wanting to put them in the mail, because we wanna know that the warnings or the got there to the individual with the dog.
So it's up to you guys, but if you want to make that revision, it would simply be to add delivered by law enforcement wherever it would have previously said, well, wherever it previously was silent about the method of delivery.
Or it's just consolidated at the end, and put all those will be delivered by law enforcement.
You could do that as well.
What does the council prefer? Make one general statement that would make that rather than you, is that it?
Yeah, I guess as long as law enforcement's all right with doing this.
And that's the other thing is, you know, if it's in the ordinance that it's delivered by law enforcement, there's no discretion. After that, it has to be delivered by law enforcement. If there's, you know, one of them that's delivered by law enforcement, the second and third potentially could be sent, there could be some discretion. But if we put all to be delivered by law enforcement, all will have to be delivered by law enforcement.
I think that's better, because we know that the letter got there, and some of these dog concerns can be pretty serious. And
So do we want to
And
generally?
you know, it kind of indicates that anyway, because it says, you know, the letter, and then it kind of says, and then the second offense will result in a letter similar, but yeah, if it could be clarified, that'd be great.
So currently you and I can work together, but basically we could strike our earlier references to law enforcement and just do a catch-all at the end of each ordinance, communications to be delivered by law enforcement under this part.
Just so you know, I had someone call about a chicken running at large.
A chicken? Was it?
found his home.
We did.
That or they had grilled chicken for something.
Okay, so can we say then that we can approve this first reading with those edits?
Yep.
Is that correct?
With those revisions,
Would I-
with the revision regarding law enforcement, or regarding the notice, delivered by law.
do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Jerry, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. All right, that brings us then to the TS door repair. And as I reviewed this, I would like to recommend that perhaps we table this until both Mike and Garrett are here to address this. Because Mike was the one that worked with this company, and Garrett is the one that kind of knows whether these are the right parts that we need. I just don't think we have people at the table tonight to move ahead on this. Would this be a problem?
Do we need a motion? Just a consensus. I agree.
Okay.
Move
Jerry,
to the next meeting.
okay. A consensus to move to the next meeting, is that what you said, Carolyn?
Yeah.
Okay. Consensus, Kelly? Jerry? Dan? Mike? Okay, so we will move that and discuss that in the near future. Okay, do you have any report at this time?
Not except for legal matters in executive session.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. So that brings us to the mayor's report. What I wanted to update us on is the housing loan that I did submit that app. It is being reviewed. And they've asked for, I sent it in last week and they have asked for more information, both yesterday and the day before. And I have followed up with them and I have sought advice or answers from either the developers at Echo Valley or our engineer to give them the information that they were requesting. And they're working very hard at making this fit, even though this particular loan application is built around the TIF. They understand that Echo Valley has a MOU with the city and that there's payback options. And so I'm very pleased with the conversation that we've had, and I've had to reach out to the developers and they're good with how we're moving forward. So that's where we're at that point. And hopefully we'll have it at the board meeting for that particular organization in the near future. Okay, an update on the Cali Avenue Gloria Street. I reached out to Dana and he said that KLJ has obtained all the plat documents that they need for that area. And they plan to do the topo, whatever that is, or topo, and verify the property next week. So that project is moving along also. And then the industrial park, gosh, I hope some of you have been out there. It's amazing how deep they're getting in those additional trenches. Could you believe it, Stan, when you drove down that road? Ooh, those big machines, wow. Anyway, most of the gravity sewer pipe is gonna be installed by tomorrow. And next week, they'll be doing the rest of the force main from the lift station to the ball field, they said. And they are also next week gonna be installing the sewer and water to lots 1 through 4. Some of the materials have been delayed. And there's one specific pump that is not expected until August 31st. So with that in mind, I will be going to the county commissioners and letting them know at one of the August meetings that we're pretty much on schedule, but we could have a slight delay if those parts don't show up in the next 2 weeks. And that's just according to the contract that you guys made with the commissioners when they granted us those dollars. So things, yeah, in all three areas, we're moving along very nicely. And if there's not any further questions, that completes my report for the industrial park and the Kelly Avenue and the Echo Valley. Okay? So then, Carolyn, that brings us to your airport item.
So I shared the 35-page document with you, but I also shared the email that Rod Sen had with that, kind of giving a explanation of why this document needs to be approved. And it has to do with our project out there and FAA rules and all that. So basically, I guess I'm looking for a motion because the document does have my name on it, but I'm not going to just sign documents and have to approve that. So
So I'd make that motion.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the DVE program for the airport. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
When is the bid on that again?
the 27th,
That's when the bids are due, or that's when?
that's when the bids are due. And then, he'll have them for the August 4th meeting for you to approve. Not exactly sure on the time frame on the 27th. I have it on my calendar, but typically, I'm sure he asked me and I said 2 o'clock is kind of the typical time that we accept bids by. That way it gives people time in the morning to get here if they need to, so. And I don't have it on there, but I'm just gonna comment, that the Bon Home Right community came and picked up one of the fire trucks last week, the 1992. And Philip is taking the 95, and there's been an agreement drafted that they will do our fireworks, the setup, the discharging, the cleanup for the next 6 years in trade for that.
Oh, wow.
Really good trade.
Seems like we've done well.
So I think it's gonna be next week before they'll come and get it, but, and they will have to cover the insurance during that time. That's part of the agreement, and they won't receive title until that's.
Philip will.
But
That Philip will have.
yeah, Philip will have to keep the insurance on it, and they won't receive the title until 6 years.
Great.
So, Jim went and took the agreement down and got it signed, and so it'll be ready to go when they want to get it. That's all I have.
Okay, well, good job. Okay, so that brings us to the Public Works, and Garrett actually put some things down on paper for us. One of the questions that had been had come up since our 3-inch rain about why there was so much overflow along Myrtle Street. And so he indicated that the issue with the water in that area is not the ditch by the railroad between the D's Oil and Joe's. Actually, the problem is the water cannot get out of town fast enough on the west side of the campground, which makes it back up there. So if they mowed the ditch, because people were wondering why they didn't have that railroad ditch mowed, he said that would just make the water flow faster, flood more. So leaving that grass a little bit taller would actually help slow down the flooding. Another one that had come up was the ditch by the deputy's house, and he looked at that and he could not identify any more erosion there since then there was in June 21st. And he thought if they added more rock, that would actually make the ditch narrower and slow the flow down more, so that would cause more flooding. So he had studied that a great deal. He does see that there's sediment that needs cleaned out, but he didn't feel that would be causing a flooding issue. And he did worry about the bank sloughing off and causing the gate to not work properly. Perhaps that was part of it too, and that maybe the hinges needed to be bigger on that gate. So he will be visiting further with that person. And he has been fogging and baiting mosquitoes, and kudos to him. Those play days, we've got some 84 kids out there, 0 to 18, competing or participating even as we speak. And there was not one mosquito last Thursday when we were out there, so that was great. Are you getting a bunch of mosquitoes at the elevator?
A few
A few?
since that last rain.
Yeah,
It's been a battle for him.
yeah.
I know he's been spraying a lot.
I believe he was just out last night.
Yeah,
Last
it
night
was.
again.
I heard it, he's been out the golf course too.
Made a big difference. So if you see Garrett, please, give him a, high five. And then on the mowers, he's called Jenner, and the mowers might be here between October and December. He ordered them last December. They might be here before December this year, and he'll have another update at the next meeting, so.
Christmas present.
Yeah. Wonder if they come with snowboards.
We get a year-old price for him.
It's already been paid.
Yeah. Prices.
Unbelievable.
That's typical supply issue.
Yeah, how can that be? How can that be? Okay. So that brings us to Jim Coates. He's requested to be on the agenda, and we anticipate a respectful and appropriate conversation here, Jim. So yes, what would you like to talk to us about tonight?
I just like to make everyone aware, I was given the bill by the police officer the other day for $81,633.17 cleanup. Needless to say, I was shocked. Hurt, stunned. Trying to put into words. I didn't understand what was going on, I guess, with the bill. And, you know, I come in and asked for help because I needed help getting the awning off the sidewalk the next day. And I didn't know how I was gonna get it off the sidewalk the next day. You know, if I'd have known I was gonna get this bill, I would have been on the site. I'd have done things a little different, a lot different, I guess. So somehow there was a miscommunication between me and the council. Been some hurt feelings, some bad words, and you know, been a tough time. I've been trying to remain thankful for the help. It was very fast. I just wanted everyone to be aware, though, there is a horrible miscommunication. I was at a 3-month-old funeral on that Friday, and then that following Monday, I was at the burial of a 3-month-old. There's a lot of things going on. I felt very pressured because the celebration was coming up. And felt a lot of pressure for the cleanup to get done by you guys. You know, I just wanted to relay to the council members that I didn't get to talk to personally. Yeah, I don't like being called dumb. I'm not gonna mention any names. I was asking questions on the site when it was being cleaned up, who's in charge? You know, I was trying to salvage what I could. I was asking the guys to salvage what we could. I couldn't be on the site for, you know, several different reasons. But if I'd have known at the time that I was gonna get the full bill, I would have done things differently. You know, more cost effective for me. And so I just wanted to be, you know, the public to be very aware that I got a bill for $81,633.17. And, nobody told me, you know, I wish there would have been better communications. I was really in the most shocked. I mean, you guys could tell from my reaction too. I think you could tell how much shock I was in. And, you know, I guess hopefully, we'll try to talk things out, work things out. And we won't have any problems with communication in the future. I'm not quite sure what's gonna happen with this. You know, I guess I'd ask for some forgiveness on this. You know, I just, like I said, I would probably taken a little more time to do it. To get it done, I would have approved the fence, but I would have approved 50,000 and, you know, for the cleanup in 3 days, I would have approved that, you guys. And I would have approved the hole being left there. You know, me being, you know, basically, I've been trying to find dirt, you know, since the day that the work stopped. I haven't been able to find any dirt. Yeah, so I just, you know, it's a lot of strange things that happen. It's a one of a time occurrence. I don't know how many years. But you know, I just think, you know, I think maybe we all need to be a little more sensitive towards people. Sometimes when we're talking to them, we gotta understand. We all think we understand things perfectly in this perfect world. You know, you gotta walk in a man's shoes before you quite know what's going on. So I just, you know, I got no bad words. I just really hurt, shocked. And I'm sure where we're going from here on this.
Jimmy, not to add salt to the wounds, but your time frame of cleaning things up usually is a little slow. And this is Wall, and we're a tourist town. We couldn't wait on your time frame.
You asked the time.
We asked for the last 2 years for you to take care of some stuff on another property.
What was that?
The cars,
Okay, the cars.
2 years. And we ended up moving them. I don't know.
What does that have to do with what happened with the cactus?
Nothing, except I heard this from a taxpayer in town. And you're not gonna like it and it's gonna hurt. But this person said, I don't like the city being Jimmy Coles's personal insurance company. You can't expect the city to I understand you didn't have insurance. I understand that. That was your choice. You kind of slid by for quite a while. Luckily, didn't have anything going on.
Slid by.
You didn't have anyone hurt. you didn't have a fire, but for quite some time.
50 years.
No, since you quit.
50 years we didn't have a fire.
Since you didn't have insurance. You said that day you were talking about insurance. I'm sorry. You have a business in Main Street. That would be my first thing I would pay is my insurance. The city,
Second, taxes. Otherwise you can't operate.
exactly.
But, and the city's lien is way down the list to back taxes, both state and federal.
That's not the point.
The point is, Jimmy,
The point is, nobody told me I was
we-
gonna rack up a $55,000 bill.
well,
And then the bill was gonna come, nobody ever once told me that I should be over there, that I was gonna pay the bill in full, any of that. When I
but you
came
just,
for help,
you just
I thought you guys-
assumed that the city
that's what I was
would say
led to believe.
that the city would just come and pick up after you.
That's what I was led to believe.
No,
No.
as I told you on that conversation that we had on the phone,
Mhm.
if my motel was burnt down, I would have had to clean it up.
Mhm.
That was my responsibility, my responsibility.
I understand
my-
that, Kelly, and I would have cleaned it up. And I see
But
on
you-
here,
but-
the renting the evacuator was 3,000.
And then, and there again, I talk about your time frame.
Mhm.
2 cars would have gotten rid of easily, took 2 years. This was a major mess. You wouldn't have been able to do it in 2 years. If you couldn't move the cars in 2 years, how are you gonna clean that up?
Kelly, do you remember the photo studio?
Yes, I do.
Where'd it go?
That's neither here nor there.
No, where did it go? How do you think it disappeared?
Well, I don't remember that. It's been too many years.
Me and 2 other guys took an excavator, tore it down and hauled it off.
2 years on 2 cars, Judy, 2 years. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Kelly, and I'm telling you, we tore down a building ourselves, and you don't remember that. And hauled it off,
Good.
okay?
My point.
We've hauled off more than one building.
My point is,
Mhm.
and I'm going to keep going back to the time frame. Your time frame is not anything like the rest of us. It seems to be on your terms. We, as a precedent, as what we have seen you do in the past with this council, is that you take your time.
So you used your decision to charge me 55,000 based
No,
on
because
2
that-
cars being there?
No, because that's what it costs to clean that mess.
But that's what you're using.
You know, the whole thing was traumatic. Jimmy, the city's appreciative of your cooperation. Everybody's sad about what happened to your family business. I do think we did want to clean it up. We did want to clean it up before celebration, which we communicated to you.
But Rick, you gotta understand, for 55,000, I could have taken all summer and cleaned it up, and I would have been in the same spot. You see what I'm saying? Because I was left helpless with a hole in the ground. If I'd have been taken care of it 100%, if I would have understood that, then I would have made a deal with somebody somehow that would have been leveled with that hole being covered. So I could have at least tried to get a tent. You understand?
Mhm.
And I kept asking, who's in charge? Who's in charge? And I couldn't get an answer. Who's in charge? Is that the site? And I was asking about the expenses to Todd. And not once was I told, I'm gonna get the bill, I was asking, I was not told ever that I was gonna be getting the bill in a week. I didn't understand that, you guys.
Okay,
I
but
was
the
never
deal
referenced
that
that.
you would have made with someone somewhere, would you have expected to pay for those services?
I would have, you understand, I would have paid my own man, and I would
Right,
have
but
rented
you
the
would have
excavator.
expected to pay. So the city did that and has basically financed the cleanup. But you would have expected to pay someone to do it.
Well,
The city did it for you and you don't expect
at
it.
24%, though, it's a 2% charge per month. And I didn't even think I had to pay for it.
But what?
That's the message I was given when I was talking to people. That's how I was made to feel. Sign this, we'll take care of it. Sign the sign thing, we'll take care of it. Everything will be fine. We'll give you what you want. Sign this. I had no clue that sign this, we'll take care of it, and then we'll bill you. Charge you a 6.5% sales tax on it, and then 24% of your tax are interest on it. I had no
Yeah.
clue, you guys, otherwise.
That is totally wrong. You signed it, you came in here and I went through that paper that you signed. And I told you, you're gonna probably get a bill for the cleanup. I told you that in this community center. And prior to that, that's the first time I had talked to you.
That was 3 days after it was already going.
I know.
I wouldn't have allowed it if I'd have known that, though, Stan, do you understand?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Jimmy,
I
I say,
could've-
we couldn't let it go. We had the celebration, we had to get addressed. We would have been liable for anybody walking down the sidewalk that got hurt. We
Right.
would be in a lot bigger debt. We had to do something.
We had to
could
get the
not-
sidewalk
What everybody's
cleared.
trying to say is we could not wait on your history of your time frame, so we had to get it done before we had a town full of people in just a few days. And that is why it got done in such a hurried manner. We had to get it done before any more lawsuits. The city would have been liable for part of the problem because we didn't do nothing about it. They would have came back to us, and we have a lot of community.
I came the next day and asked if I could get help with the awning to get the sidewalk pushed back, and I said we could get a fence up immediately. No fence or whatever.
Well, for one thing, the city's not expecting to be paid anytime soon and may never, but, so. I don't know why you aren't somewhat grateful and just try to move forward.
Well, I'm grateful, Stan, but the miscommunication is the thing.
But Stan did say he told you, so there is.
Our the work's already been completed,
So,
and
but plus the meeting, the night of the meeting,
I
we
couldn't.
never said it was gonna be free. You never asked.
No.
We just said we're gonna take care of it. And maybe we should have
That's
said
what I
that,
was
you made it
led to
very
do.
clear.
I was given this big,
Nobody
warm,
let-
fuzzy hug feeling.
We were sorry for you. We were sorry that the building burned. But we never led you to believe that we were going to pay for it. Never led you, if that's what you took away, that is on you, because that is what
How
you
come not
want.
one person could say, Jim, we've spent 30, 20, or come to me, give me updates. I was asking who's in charge, how much is being spent. I was asking this question the whole time.
Did you come to Carolyn or Marilyn?
Yeah.
Or Marilyn, Mary, excuse me. Did you come to Mary and ask?
Yeah, I did, and I came to Todd Sealer and I asked who.
But
was in charge.
Todd isn't with the city.
And
Todd was doing
getting
his,
orders from the city.
Todd was doing his work.
Right.
He was,
Somebody has
he
to be in
wouldn't,
charge of Todd.
he wouldn't know who was going to pay the bill. He was told, we need this cleaned up.
Mhm.
He has no idea who's gonna do that. That's not Todd. Carolyn, I'm sorry, put it on Carolyn. Carolyn probably would know. Mary would know. We knew.
Yeah, and I would
And I-
have this bid out too. I mean, it would only taken a week to get it bid out.
We didn't have.
And we're getting bids on everything else in town. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is the communication.
If you would listen,
Communication was bad.
you should listen, because the communication was there.
So you're calling me a liar.
No, I'm saying this is what we said, whether you heard it or you heard it differently. That's what I'm saying, but you were told that, and you weren't told that,
I was
the
told
thing-
that after the work was basically done.
but we didn't say that night that.
That was on Friday.
We did on that Tuesday,
When I signed the paper, it was on Friday.
but on Tuesday.
The work was basically done.
On Tuesday, we did not say that this is going to be paid for by
So,
us.
Moving forward.
Yes, what is our plan to move forward?
Well,
Because
that's
we
what I,
can't undo or redo. You asked us to help, we helped. Communication, yeah, listening, speaking, it's a two-way deal. So I'm sure we could have done better, you could have done better, but I do wanna know. How are you moving forward?
and the other thing I wanna point out too is the fact that I think that I'm almost convinced it's arson.
Okay,
You know, and I haven't bring this up, it just. You know, when I come in that Tuesday night, you could see me shaking, I was tired, I was exhausted, I hadn't slept. You could hear it in my voice. I just, you know. All I'm saying is, I felt one thing. I felt trust in the council. I was raised a young man to trust authority. I trust a lot. I trust too much sometimes. It's what's gotten me into trouble, is I trust too much. Okay, I didn't think that I would be left helpless. I would have never made any deals with the council, anybody, God, construction, of leaving a hole on Main Street for any, you know, and I appreciate you guys, the quick, like, get it, the hard work. I appreciate it. I just didn't, I didn't know, I didn't understand, and so the pain, I just wanna make sure you guys understand the pain, the hurt. I felt betrayed, I felt like a knife was in my back, I thought that I had communicated with you guys, I was trying to get answers at the site,
okay,
And I
good.
wasn't
So
yet.
how are we moving forward?
I don't know. I've been looking for dirt, obviously you guys said the city ran out of dirt. I've been looking for dirt.
Okay, so you will move forward and fill the hole yourself and take care of that part? Is that your plan for that property?
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah, I hope that you guys understand that the communication is not just my fault.
okay.
I feel like I'm getting
Communication is
blamed
two-way.
100%. And I got called stupid for not asking, okay? That hurt me,
Okay,
okay? That hurt me. Because I felt trust where I shouldn't have felt trust. And so when I get called stupid because I didn't ask enough questions when I thought I was asking enough questions. Okay, I just want you guys to understand that.
okay,
It's very frustrating,
okay,
and then to get, you know,
okay.
come in and hear about 2 cars that I didn't put there on my property, that were abandoned there. And then when I'm having financial troubles, you know,
So, okay, so you're gonna plan on finishing that project, you're gonna keep that back fence up so that we don't have to be concerned about someone getting on that property, falling in that hole?
well,
You've got that on,
I-
you've got
I,
on
uh,
top of that?
God forbid anybody fall in the hole now, because then I'm gonna get sued more.
Okay.
So now I have to go to bed worrying about that until I can get the whole field. I've been trying to get a hold of the insurance guys.
Which
Got
I
a
see,
quote.
which I see the fence is down and it didn't get put up this afternoon.
What's that?
The fence is still down.
Yeah, I put it up, I didn't put it up yet today, I've been putting it up every day, somebody seems to be going in there. And it isn't me or anybody that works for me.
Okay, well, that's worrisome, so, okay.
Well, that's what
clear-
I'm saying too, is, you know, if we're worried about safety, I just still don't understand why the hole is like that. And I see the money, okay,
Okay, well, that list,
but if I'd have been,
that amount would have been higher if we would have,
right, but
Continue.
at least I could have done business and then maybe found a way to at least start paying it off. Instead of left crippled.
okay. Well,
That's what I'm
obviously, you
saying. The
didn't want any more.
miscommunication cost not, it cost me more than just. See what I'm, do you understand, Mary?
I am clear, I've listened to this same thing several times, Jim, so I am hearing what you're saying. And we're taking our position that we move forward. And we're looking forward to see what you're gonna do to improve that property or finish it out or whatever your plan is. So, thank you for being here tonight. Okay, so next on our agenda, is there any other items for discussion that we need to take, we can't take action on, but is there other items tonight? Okay, seeing none. The next city council meeting will be Thursday, August 4th at 6:30. And we do have a need for executive session, so yeah,
I'd like to make a motion, we go in executive session for the purpose of discussing legal personnel issues according to SDCL 1-25-2.
okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we'll move. What? We'll go into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? I couldn't hear what you were saying. I thought you were saying we need a vote and I'm going, what for? Very good, very good. So, Kelsey, let's, start with your executive, request first, please, and. Yeah. So Kelsey's got something she'd like to share. Hey, didn't you just?
Can you give me one?
So Kelsey, what